us because I'm not in charge of the tech and the tech person is not visible. So say hi if you can hear us. I think we have Castellum, Wolfsong, and Claire Cat at least. Oh, and Belly Twitching because technically you're not on the stream. You are doing tech though. Yay! Hello everyone. Welcome to the first of our Blue Rose streams. We are trying the new RPG Blue Rose, which Andrew has suggested that we should give a go, and Andrew will be GMing for us. So, would our players like to introduce themselves first? And we have a guest. Yes, sorry, I almost forgot that. We have a guest. The LBs have, well, one of the LBs is joining us. So, yeah, do you want to start?
Oh, that's who you are.
Oh, yes.
We've done a wonderful job with the introduction. Not even all our players know who you are.
No, that's okay.
That makes sense now. I can see your name and that totally makes sense. Right, got it.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Anna, but if you've been hanging around the channel long enough, you probably know me better by my moniker here is the LVs. Casually throwing out puns left, right, and centre, challenging Castellan. I'm working with her frequently. But here, because I'm buddies with Andrew and he's invited me to join in. So I'm very, very excited and just hope I get to add to the fun.
I'm sure you
I will add, you are here more specifically because you helped me out of a bind getting on stream.
Yes.
Yes.
You were very
that is
awesome.
also true.
Yeah, you were awesome that time.
All right. Anne-Marie, would you like to go next?
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. Yeah, I write stuff and I role play on here. And I've completely blanked on what I'm actually supposed to be saying. So
you're also in the Story Squires group.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm also in the Story Squires group and once spent a very enjoyable 2 or 3 streams arguing with one of Jess's characters.
Yes.
It was probably the most fun I've ever had on video chat, which sounds really, really bad, but I'm also a romance writer, so sorry, not sorry.
All right, Brian.
Hello, I'm Brian. Those of you in chat will recognize me as Poseworth in the chat and when I'm checking out other streamers. I am on 2 of our other streams. The Pyramid, I play Anurin the Bard, usually up to no good in musical and storytelling nature. And then I also play Florian on our Guild of the Feathered Spoon stream. And Florian is a rogue who is, when he's not busy stealing things out of people's pockets, he's trying to steal Tariel's heart.
Aww.
And I also played Jay in our brief interlude into Vampire Darkness. Typically, I'm also an actor and theater guy doing lights and sound and technical
voice
things.
Actor too. Narrator.
Oh, and voice acting. Yeah, voice acting. Yeah, I did some things. In fact, when we're done here, I'll be filming tonight. So,
Yay! Awesome.
Support independent film.
Hi, another unique.
Another unique. Oh,
hey.
All right. Yeah, so I'm Jess, and I play Tariel on our Guild of the Feathered Spoon stream. I play Amber on our Story Squires stream, and I play the Pyramid. I am the Pyramid. I GM the Pyramid. There we go. On the Pyramid stream, which is kind of pretty much self-explanatory. And I'm also a writer, all sorts of things, mostly fantasy and sci-fi and urban fantasy. Okay, I write everything. Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I get the joy of GMing this session, but I also play Garner in the Pyramid stream, the barbarian who is fast becoming a bardbarian with all his singing interludes that's going on.
Thank you, another unique. Gifting us up to Fran B.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you. But yes, I'm getting a lot of help from Anu in that one, and I've also done a brief stint GMing in the past with the Guild of the Feathered Spoon.
Yeah.
I always have to remember the new name there, having a wonderful time making a great carnival for people and then ruining it horribly.
Oh, you didn't ruin it? It was amazing.
There were zombies.
Yes.
It was ruined for Tariel. I feel.
To be honest, anything a bit shadowy is going to ruin things for Tariel. But then she did get Florian to finally admit he loved her, so...
It was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
yeah.
We are doing Blue Rose. Would you like to do your thing, Andrew, and tell us about
Yeah.
Blue Rose?
Yeah, so Blue Rose, I'm going to actually segue before we even get into Blue Rose. Blue Rose is based on a different system to D&D called the Age system. And the Age system is used in a variety of different campaigns, not just for Blue Rose, it's also used for Modern Age, which is a sci-fi setting. It's used for Fantasy Age, which is closer to D&D. It's also used for Dragon Age, which, for those of you who play video games and know that series, it's the official sort of RPG of that video game. Hi, Toddler.
Claire Cat's toddler's just waved at us, so hi, Toddler.
And yeah, so it's a very robust system, the Age system, used in loads of different games. And it's one which I had the pleasure of running a very long campaign for with friends in the past, one which actually lasted 2 years, which is the longest I've ever held a campaign together for. So it's one which is very near and dear to my heart. So when the option came up to sort of do different systems to D&D, I really wanted to give the Age system a try with you guys because I know how good it can be. And Blue Rose particularly is, as a world, very interesting and dynamic and different from D&D. So that's reasons why I wanted to present it to you and really hope you enjoy it, because I love the Age system. To give you a bit more background on the Age system itself, it's very friendly to beginners to RPGs. So when you've got friends who have thought of getting into something like D&D and they see the D20s, the D8s, the D12s, all the Ds in the world, and if they're anything like me and they're bad at math, they're already running for the door the moment they see all the different sums you have to do. So having a format which is simpler, easier, doesn't have you going to the rule books quite so often is something. Yeah, Castle, saying math is scary. It is scary.
It can be.
I am very scared of math. Honestly, if the pyramid does a math flaw, Garner's dead. He's beyond dead. He might not even go up the stairs. He might just stay where he is and go, I'm out.
Remember, there was one, and you and I sat off to the side playing while everyone else figured it.
I did a killer Sudoku, and basically, it like all of you just immediately stopped being in character. You just suddenly went, numbers. It was like everyone
for Garner, this is the beautiful thing about Garner. Everything he does is in character because he's so like me anyway. Aside from the reading, which I can do, he's no good at math. I'm no good at math. He doesn't think things through. I don't think things through. So on that score, it's very like that. But the Age system, generally, it's one which really sort of epitomizes getting into the role play, rules light, but still interesting, is the general way I describe it. And Blue Rose as a setting is one that I've just fallen in love with, reading the backstory and lore. Absolutely adore the world, and it's very different from D&D, and I'll get on to that in a minute. But just for the Age system itself, very rules light, very easy to pick up. Any of you who are watching who thought, I want to get into RPGs, but I'm not sure if I can hack D&D, the Age system is one which is really good to get into as a beginner.
Awesome.
Oh, hi, Maeve Bonwin, new follower.
Yay!
Hey,
new follower. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, we were talking about hockey on Dilly's Discord. So Maeve, it's good to have you join us today.
Yay. Oh, is that someone from Dilly the Day?
Yeah, that's because, like I said, we were literally
Thank
talking
you.
about hockey last night. So
Yay! Cool. Right, sorry.
Awesome.
You were saying, Andrew.
Yeah, no,
so
it's
sorry.
fine. No, it's fine. I'm just trying to remember my train of thought. And feel free to come in with questions at any time, guys. Like, this is supposed to be just sort of like a very open, just chat about stuff and make the characters kind of thing. So anytime that you feel like you want to ask a question, please just do. And I
was thinking more, it's now a good time to tell everybody it's based on 3d6 rather than any other dice. You just do 3d6.
Yes. So that's the thing which makes it easier than a lot of other systems, is that the Age system only uses just 3d6 for everything. You might occasionally have to roll 1d6 or 2d6 for damage, but you don't have to worry about having a mountain of different dice, because I do remember when I first got into D&D, that was one of the most intimidating things to me, was all the different dice, which you had to have ready at any time.
Yeah.
And fiddling about whenever anyone's like, oh, can you roll a D8? And when you're starting out, you're like, what does a D8 even look like? And you're just sort of looking at all these dodecadoodads and just going, I don't know what a D8 is, I'm sorry. And you've got, I remember in one of the earliest D&D campaigns.
Dodecadoodad is my new favourite word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of that one. It came out of nowhere, but I'm keeping that. Dodecadoodad.
It's an excellent word.
Dodecadoodad.
Dodecadoodad, a wap boom. Always have to get singing into every single stream I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, having just 3d6, because everyone's got 3d6 somewhere. Like, you've probably got a Monopoly board somewhere you can raid. You've probably got a Risk board somewhere you can raid.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm being presumptuous, but d6 are just so easy to get hold of, and they're familiar to everyone. You know it. So just having something simple like this, where every roll is essentially a 3d6 roll or variations of that, is really, really good and really, really easy for that. So that's one of the things which makes it easy as a system, beyond the thing of the rules being lighter and easier to keep in your head.
Helpful. That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to know about Age itself before I move on to Blue Rose?
I'm good with discovering as we go, I think.
What is Age?
It's like saying D&D. It's another type of gaming.
Yeah,
mechanic.
it's a bit like sort of saying D&D is a rule book, but within D&D there are different worlds. So like there's Ravenloft in D&D. There's now Ravnica from Magic the Gathering is a D&D campaign. So you've got loads of different worlds for it. Blue Rose is one sort of world and lore and story place that uses the Age system. And actually, one of the last things I'll bring up about systems before I get into Blue Rose itself, this was really weird of me to discover, because I've wanted to play Blue Rose with people for ages, but I'm like, all the people I know are D&D players. And literally about a week before we got into this stream, I discovered that Blue Rose have done a successful Kickstarter to make crossover rules for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, I didn't even have to teach anyone new rules anymore. I could have just waited, and we could have just waited for 5e rules to come out. But that's great, though, in a way as well. So if you're someone who really just wants if you know D&D already and you don't need to go to a different system, you can, I think October time is when it's being released, you can say to yourself, oh, I really like the sound of the Blue Rose world, but I want the familiarity of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, fantastic, rules are coming out for that now. So you can now sort of use Blue Rose in different rule sets, which again, I think is great, because Blue Rose is more a story setting, and it makes sense that you can translate that to different mechanics and systems if you want. Find the system which works for you, use that.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, it's not out yet, though, so we are using the Age system here. Yeah. So for Blue Rose, then, to start off on what makes it different from D&D and why I like it, is that it's based on romantic fantasy as a genre, which is slight. Is anyone familiar with romantic fantasy here before I?
A little bit, but not like massively.
I'd appreciate a further explanation, please.
Okay, so high fantasy, you've got kind of things like Lord of the Rings, where you've got adventurers who go off on very individual quests. Like usually it's defined as loner characters, not necessarily who want to be alone, but characters going on a lone quest to save the world by their own mettle or as part of a very small group.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the hero's journey where they're trying to get the ring to Mordor, or they're trying to destroy Voldemort. That's a kind, I know that's not high fantasy, but it's got the same kind of tropes of it. But you've got a small gang of people who are very closely connected, but they go from place to place doing their own thing. Now, what romantic fantasy tends to deal more with is interpersonal relations. So in D&D, the amount of times you have that thing where you go into a village, you find the bad guy, you save the village, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Is so commonly a trope in the thing. And like, even with, and this isn't a judgment on it, but with the a prime example of the way it works with D&D, in the Guild of the Feathered Spoon, how much time have you spent talking with the villagers in the town you're in?
Pretty much none at all.
Right, exactly. So what romantic fantasy tends to deal more with is the idea that you are not an island. You are in one place, not necessarily tied to the same town. Like, it doesn't have to take place in the same location all the time, but your personal connections to the world and to other people matter an awful lot in this system. So you're not just heroes who go off to the dungeon, which is conveniently several miles out of town and no one goes near. You deal with the thing and then go back. A lot of the missions and stories revolve around issues that actually take place at Hearth and Home in the town, and people are seeing you do your missions, do the thing, and they are judging you at the same time on how you do it. So if you're using bullying tactics and treachery to get your way to find the answer, then the people in the town might think you might get the job done, but they might not like you very much for it. Or you might end up finding your future spouse in that town, or make some really good friends there who matter for the next time you play. So there's a real big push in Blue Rose and in sort of the romantic fantasy genre for these ideas of personal connections and being part of a wider world beyond your party. If that makes sense to people.
Yeah, it does. And thinking specifically of when my husband was playing the Dragon Age game and I was watching him play, something I personally got a lot out of was when you had the personal quest that every person in your party had to do. So you had to try and build relationships with them to get to a good place, and it created different dialogue options. But they had a thing that they needed or wanted to do, and for me, I personally got a lot of satisfaction out of helping them do those things because it made their lives a bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things which, when I mentioned that I did a 2-year campaign before, which wasn't Blue Rose, but it was something similar, one of the things which I think allowed it to last for 2 years was the relationships that the people playing, the players, had with the NPCs. So it was all based in a single city, and all the time you had the same NPCs cropping up. So even though they were doing different missions, the same people. Paladin Victoria was one, Captain Rowe. I remember there was a barbarian called Tender who didn't really understand that. He wanted his name to mean that he tenderized people, but he just called himself Tender, so everyone thought he was cute and cuddly. But having the same NPCs always coming in and having their stories evolve and their reactions to you evolve with that, I found was what made people more interested. Like, it did lead to it was a bit strange at first. Some of the characters did things which definitely annoyed other groups, but over time it became a thing where if the city's resident superhero Nightman turned up, it was like, oh, Nightman, you're here, and he ended up in a relationship with one of them, and they ended up having a baby together in the story. It was great. It really just sort of evolved the story another level, having sort of these connections beyond just the party itself.
Okay.
Basically. So that's how that works, and that's sort of what romantic fantasy is. Blue Rose itself then takes place in the world of Aldia, and if Bear is listening, could you start tapping on the PowerPoint? Go forward one. I said I'd do this. I put random pictures up for the stream, but I haven't really ordered them very well.
Yeah.
And again,
I'm assuming it doesn't matter that we can't see them?
No. This is for the benefit of people watching, just so they have things to see. And one more. One more, Bear. Oh, there we go. And I'll have a consonant and a vowel, please. Oh, no, you've gone too far forward. He's gone too far forward. Abort, back. There. Stop on that map. Stop on that map screen. No one who is actually playing can see it, which is a bit null and void, but
I'm cheating. I've got it up on my PC.
Oh, well done. Well done. There we go. So
Awesome.
one of you at least can see the world of Aldis or Aldia
Yay!
or Aldi if you want to do it. But for those of you who can't see, I can actually, I've just realized I can do this.
You've got a map.
Yeah, I've actually got, there we go. Now everyone can
Yeah,
see.
it's blurry. It's
Oh
blurry.
no.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. No,
No.
your
Yeah.
Zoom's trying to be too clever and it's blurred out the entire thing.
Okay. Never mind. I will send you copies of the map at some point.
Yay!
Okay,
I love
thank
that.
you.
So that you can all see the wondrousness that is Aldia. So Aldia is a continent with several different nations on it and a rich and diverse history. So I'll begin with just a little bit of the history of the world and the various races involved, and then from that, hopefully we can start building some characters that you would like to make based on the races that I've suggested or the countries that they come from. And then for the rest of the session, after we've explained a bit, it will just be enjoying making characters, I hope.
Okay.
I hope we all enjoy making characters.
Absolutely. That's my favorite part of this whole process.
Yep.
It is a joy. It is a joy. So Aldia as a world began with the Old Kingdom. And the Old Kingdom was a very amazing place where magic was refined to the uttermost. It had civility, it had prosperity, it had all kinds of wondrous things. But
And then someone blew it up.
Sorry?
And then someone blew it up.
No, unfortunately, the leaders of the Old Kingdom over time, as their magics and arcane powers got better and better, and as the need for work got less and less, they began to indulge a lot more in physical pleasures, in pursuits in sorcery and the arcane, and really pushing the boundaries until the kingdom fell. And I've got some extracts from the main book, which I'll just read. So this is from the fall of the Old Kingdom. Over time, the Old Kingdom grew complacent in its peace and prosperity. Justice became lax, and taxes on distant provinces increased as members of the Council of the Wise became more interested in their own pursuits than the welfare of their citizens. Matters worsened when adepts on the council delved deeper into the arcane arts and began to study and experiment with sorcery. Such research by those who were supposedly the wisest and most powerful encouraged others to seek similar knowledge. Some were corrupted by their sorcerous experiments. Although many approached their studies with the best of intentions, seeking only new ways to solve difficult arcane problems or techniques for aiding their subjects, they fell to shadow as surely as the more ambitious among them, and were often more cunning in concealing their debasement. Corruption spread like a cancer through the heart of the Old Kingdom, with backroom deals and alliances escalating to assassinations and draconian policies. Rebellion in the outer provinces was brutally suppressed, and small incidents of dissent used as an excuse by warmongers to build up the kingdom's army and their own private militias. During these dark days, the first sorcerers learned the secret of summoning dark fiends and how to draw upon their own corruption to increase their power. So we've got a story of a really good world turned bad, essentially. The Old Kingdom was a beacon of prosperity and all things good until the leaders unfortunately took it too far and took all they had for granted. And their delving into sorcery eventually led the Council of the Wise to become Lich Kings. They started looking for immortality. They became liches, zombies who sort of live between life and death. And they became very barbaric and tyrannical. And this was endured by the people of Aldia for a very long time until the rebellion by the country that is now called Jarzon. So fast forward, very, very far, the rebellion was a success. Yay!
Yay!
The Sorcerer Kings were defeated. Yay! And this led to the creation of the current world that we know today of Aldia, where you have the countries of Aldis, Jarzon, Wis, Rezia, and Kern. And each of those has a different view on how to get by in the world and a different view on what society should be, shaped by that awful calamity and horror that was the sorceress wars of old. So in some ways, where you come from in Blue Rose is more important sort of for your character in terms of their thinking and how they are and what they value than your race. So I was actually going to start with the different countries so you can get a taste for them all and think about where you might want your character to hail from.
Okay.
Originally.
Cool.
So
Sounds good.
yeah, I'll start with Aldis, obviously the main country of the whole format. So I'll just read a little about them and then I'll go on to Jarzon, Rezia, and the others. The great city of Aldis, in the midst of a vast and fertile stretch of land along the Western Ocean, was once the heart of the Old Kingdom, which rose to greatness long ago. The Old Kingdom fell into corruption, however, overthrown by the vile sorcerer kings who established their empire of thorns and spread shadow across the known world. In time, a great rebellion arose to overthrow the sorcerer kings, aided by the Raidan, thinking animals with arcane powers, and the mystical Golden Heart. All of the sorcerers were defeated, and Aldis and the surrounding lands were free from their dominion. In the centuries since, Aldis has rebuilt itself as a society devoted to justice and peace for its people. Its governing nobles are selected through a rigorous series of tests, the last of which is the touch of the Blue Rose Scepter, which reads the heart and spirit to determine if the subject is truly worthy and well-intentioned. The sovereign of the nation is likewise not determined by birth or conquest, but selected by the Golden Heart, the embodiment of the collective will and wisdom of the people. For generations, the Kingdom of the Blue Rose, as it is also known, has restored and rebuilt much of what was lost during the Shadow Wars, and protected itself and its people from its enemies, while seeking to build peace and understanding between all people. So that is Aldis, which sounds great on the surface, very, very peaceful and understanding country, wants everyone to get along, wants to allow people to be who they are. But one thing I would say about them as well, if they had a weakness, is that their country is the closest to what the Old Kingdom once was, in that their permissiveness and allowing a very all is good attitude sometimes leads certain people to become sorcerers under the radar or to overstretch themselves in that way. So they are definitely the best intentioned of all the countries, I think, in the list here, but they do have their own setbacks and things that need to be avoided when you think about a character coming from there. So that's one place your character could come from. And if you feel like you think, oh, this country resonates me, this is a place I would like to come from, or I can think of a character coming from here, then please sort of just jot it down in your notes and we can work on that later. So the second country is the theocracy of Jarzon, and it was Jarzon which originally started the rebellion which ended the reign of the sorceress kings. So to Aldis's east lies the theocracy of Jarzon, once a part of the vast old kingdom, now an independent nation governed by the priests of the Church of Pure Light. These priests led the dangerous rebellion against the forces of shadow and are now determined their land and people will never again fall under its yoke, no matter the cost. Jarzon is a land of harsh realities where devotion to faith and a demanding creed have allowed people to survive and prosper. They are suspicious of outsiders, including the people of Aldis, who seem to embrace many of the liberties the purists believe led to Old Kingdom to ruin. Some Jarzoni are intrigued by foreign ways, while others would like nothing more than to impose discipline and sense upon their neighbors to avert disaster. Jarzon knows full well what is at stake, for to the south and east of their lands lie the Shadow Barrens, a vast wasteland devastated by the rise of the sorceress kings and the shadow wars that followed. Once the beautiful land of Fenaria, it is now inhabited only by dark fiends, twisted shadow spawn, and the tormented souls of the unliving. Veneria's remaining people have become the roamers, vagabonds without a homeland, who travel the roads of Aldia in their small bands. So that is Jarzon. Very, very different country to Aldis, but still not exactly evil or bad. They just remember what happened in the old days, how the old kingdom fell apart, and they are doing the best that they know to make sure that doesn't happen again. And then, to the north, you have Resia. To the west of Aldis stretch the great plains of Resia, home to clans of nomadic people who follow the migration and lead of their beloved horses across the grasslands from foaling to wintering grounds. The Resians are a fierce and free people, not always friends of their Aldian neighbours to the east, but the envoys of the crown seek to maintain good relationships with the various clans. Resians trade their goods and horses, and some of them serve as mercenaries or raiders in the nearby lands. A bit of a shorter one there for Resia. Resia is kind of like a mix between Rohan
Yes.
and Mongolian, not Mongolian. Who was it? Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. I
That
was
is
thinking
Mongolians.
That
Yeah,
is
that's right.
Mongolia. Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
Mongolia. Yeah.
So you've got sort of very Mongolian influences. You've got Rohan influences. They're very linked to Rye horses, so they've got big links to the animals and to the land as well, which doesn't really come across in their short introduction there. So that is them. And then we've got 2 more to go. So thank you for staying with me so far. So the next is the Kingdom of Kern. North of the vast forest of the Pavin Weald and the sentinel peaks of the Icebinder Mountains lies the dark kingdom of Kern, the last remnant of the domains of the Sorcerer Kings. It is a bleak land where slaves work for mines and smelting furnaces, and common people scratch out a rough existence through subsistence farming or working in the slums or wealthy houses of the great city of Sarn. The evil Lich King Jarek once ruled Kern, but was destroyed in conflict with Aldis and its queen. Now Jarek's closest lieutenants, the so-called Shadowed Seven, vie for power and control within the kingdom, while maintaining a fragile alliance against outside forces that would see Kern wiped from the face of the world, given the opportunity. Sooner or later, a new ruler will seize power in Kern, and the Dark Kingdom may threaten the world once more. Obviously, if you're going to come from Kern, you're probably a refugee trying to get out. I certainly don't recommend you be one of the Shadowed Seven, or you be an evil, corrupt lord trying to take over the world. That may shift the dynamic of what we're doing here a bit. Unless you
Brian's
all
like,
want to
God
do
damn
that.
it.
Look at
Unless you
Brian.
all want to do that, and in which case we will just be corrupt sorcerers in a bitter northern expanse. But I'll let you. I'll see what you go with when you decide on places you might want to come from.
That sounds like too much like American politics today. So
Not far off British ones either, actually, except it's too big.
No. No. So last place we've got on the list, and then you can think a little about where you might like to come from in the grand world of things, is the Matriarchy of Lartia. Sails from the southern shores of Aldis past the islands of the Scatterstar Arpeggio to the south and southwest, and you will reach the isles of the Matriarchy of Lartia, a tropical paradise where the local people took in refugees from the shadow wars of the mainland long ago. The Matriarchy has a strict caste system ruled by women, who are considered the most fit to rule and manage society's affairs. After the Great Rebellion, Lartia re-established ties with the mainland nations, becoming a trading partner to many, but remaining carefully neutral in all other matters. Still, the influence of outsiders has begun to change Lartian culture, and not for the better, according to some. Lartia is very far off the map, so if you choose to come from there, you're definitely an islander. They don't have much to do with the Shadow Wars. They don't have much to do with any of the mainland politics. They just basically want to be them and stick to their own system. But of course, whoever you play, just because you're from a place doesn't mean you have to act like it. So, for instance, you can be from Jarzon and be fed up with the Church of Pure Light and all the officiousness and want to get to Aldis, where you can be free to express yourself a bit more. You may be from Resia tending the horses, and you might think one day to yourself, you know what, I would really like a house in one place rather than roaming all the time. And that might be a reason to move location.
Okay.
So just because I've said these places, don't think that you need to make your characters be like that. Don't think, oh, if I'm from Jarzon, I have to be really for this religion. I have to be really against other ways. You can use it as a stepping stone to explain why your character might feel out of place where they came from, or why they're traveling in the first place. So that's something to think about. So that's the world as it stands in the present. You've got the aftermath of the Sorcerer Wars. You've got one place where the evil still lurks, and you've got several countries which are trying their best to remake society in new ways, and just they're all a little different in what that way should be.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so any questions about places before we go on to the races of the world?
No, I think I'm quite
How many
happy.
men do they have in the matriarchy one?
How many men do they have?
Yeah, well, is it a predominantly female population?
I don't think so. I think it is just literally same populations as normal. There's nothing in the actual general population which makes women rule here. It just is the way it is. I will look up later on when we're making the characters. I will look up an answer for that one. But population wise, I don't think it's a numbers game.
Okay.
I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's kind of just like women
Like
are better suited to rule.
Yeah.
It's just the way they've decided things, as far as I'm aware from what I've read, and the men are completely fine with this
Okay.
as it goes. So that's that there. Any other questions about the places before?
Do they inhabit very distinctive like habitats and ecosystems?
Yes, you could say that. So Aldis is defined. There, can you go down several? There's a picture of Aldis itself, the city, which will give you a good visual cue of what Aldis is like. Oh wait, no, BLB is the only one who can see it, but BLB is the one asking the question, so I guess it doesn't matter. So you can get there a sort of look at what Aldis looks like. It's kind of Gondorian in a way. You've got a lot of white marble going on with red terraced roofs tops, kind of Italian style maybe. Sort of old medieval Italian, very sort of picturesque, very nice. It's probably the nicest place you would want to live in all of the known world there. And then Jarzon is kind of Middle Ages England, dark grey stone, lots of heavy churches, people in very itchy cloth, rainy and overcast. That's probably where Jarzon lies. Resia, I've already
it's
said,
kind of like medieval Britain.
Yeah, medieval Britain is what Jarzon is like, but more popish.
Okay. Medieval Italy then.
Yeah, medieval Italy, but
with worse weather.
This is weird, actually.
With
I've just
British
realized
weather.
Jarzon is medieval Italy, but with British housing, and Aldis is medieval Britain with Italian housing. Possibly. No, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe comparisons aren't the best thing to draw here too much, so we will bypass that. I'm trying to find the next bit on the races. Is there any other questions on place, though, before we move on to that?
No, I think I'm good now.
No, thank you.
Okay. Why can't I find my pages? Before this, I put bookmarks in my book thinking, oh, this would be great for helping me find all the relevant pages, but apparently it is not. And I can't find, this is one thing with sort of doing a rule book with people where only you have the rule. There we go, here we go, I found them.
Yay.
Now I need to find the start of them. Annoyingly, it was one page from where the bookmark was as well, and I was skipping whole sections. So, races, Bear, can you go back up a couple? There'll be a picture with 4 different types of people on it. Go up again. Keep going.
Ooh, hello.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one. So the people of Aldia, you have humans, which are a very complex race to try and describe to you. You might find it hard to visualize what a human is like, but they're somewhere usually between 4 and 6 foot, bipedal, pinkish skin, can live up to their 80s generally, and can go a bit beyond that. I don't know, has anyone dealt with humans before in any campaigns or know of humans?
No, I'm usually an elf.
Brian, do you know what a human is?
I worked in customer service once.
Same.
That pretty much answers that question.
Yeah, but nothing else
Yeah.
needs to be said there. But yeah, humans within Aldis, I'm pretty much going to just skip over them. The whole section on humans just basically covers what humans are like in the various countries. We all know what a human is, I trust. Those of you who don't, look them up on the internet. There are a lot of them.
Barely twitching and said, customers are not humans.
Oh, there we go. Brian might need re-education into what humans are. Customers are kings and queens.
No. Customers like to think they're kings and queens.
They're actually rabid monkeys.
Mm.
So yeah, so going on to the slightly more different races, the ones that you might not know. First, we have night people. And night people are, seen as most of you can't see the image, think of an orc from D&D and then make them slightly more human, slightly less beefy. And you've got a night person straight away. Greenish skin, jutting teeth on the jaw, long black hair, slightly barbaric in their ways. And I'll just read you a little bit about where they came from. Their backstory is very sort of Lord of the Ringsy. And for those of you who don't know, in Lord of the Rings, orcs are they elves who got turned by dark powers or men?
Goblins, elves, orcs are men.
Yeah.
Uruk-hai are something else that is some combination of the two.
Okay, so night people kind of follow the Lord of the Rings style thing here, where when the Sorcerer Kings were at their peak, they started experimenting with their slaves to make a new race, and the night people were born from that. So this is what they say about them. Night people were originally creations of the Sorcerer Kings. They were made like all shadow spawn as a slave race. Their masters made them brutishly strong, but not overly bright. For generations, they worked primarily as laborers and soldiers for the Sorcerer Kings, knowing no other life. During the Great Rebellion, many night people were slain or driven out of the newly liberated lands. Since then, night people are found in Kern, where they are subjects to its dark regents, much like their ancestors, or less often in Aldis, where some night people sought asylum and freedom. Night people are largely accepted in Alden society, proof of the kingdom's legendary tolerance. Night people nonetheless suffer some prejudice there and elsewhere because of their origins. Although some believe night people are inherently corrupt, this is not the case, and they are capable of choosing between their destiny and their fate like anyone else, which actually leaves some hope for other shadow spawn twisted by the Sorcerer Kings. Their creators cared little about aesthetics when they made the night people, who are like monsters from a children's tale. They are taller than humans with stocky, muscular builds, sloped foreheads, and beady yellow eyes. Their skin is ashen grey and their hair black and coarse. Small tusks jut from their lower jaws, and they prefer a diet of meat. Rumors of them eating the flesh of people are not true. That is a taste night people do not share with other shadow spawn. Play a night person if you want a straightforward, tough, strong character who tends to be handy in a fight. Although night people have a reputation as brutes and warriors, they can belong to any class.
Okay.
So that's night people for you. Next, we have the Raiden, which I think are the most interesting of the types to play. And certainly when I've tried to, there's been several attempts I've had in the past to get a group of players together to play in Blue Rose. And one of the things I've always found is that people always want to play the animals. Playing a sentient psychic animal just seems to intrigue a lot of people to the point where one time when I tried to actually make a campaign, everyone wanted to be a rye something, and we were left with a party that couldn't open doors, which kind of scuppered missions.
Because no one had opposable thumbs.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of hope one of I will be honest, because I've never actually done a Blue Rose campaign. I really want one of you to be a rye something, because I do love the vibe. I'm just hoping you don't all want to be one, because also the rules for rye, I'm going off on a tangent here, but some of the rye things you can be, if you all wanted to be one, would change the campaign entirely. So rye fen are intelligent dolphins. If you wanted, you could all be a pod of dolphins, and then the whole campaign would have to be underwater, and I would have to get out my Sega Genesis and play Echo the Dolphin for ideas of what to actually do for the story, because there's no campaigns written for what happens if all your players insist on being dolphins.
So what happens if one of the characters is a dolphin then? Do you need to always be near water?
Yes. Essentially, yes. Either that or the rest of your party need to carry around a fish tank with them at all times at an aquarium, and the dolphin just has to sit there in combat, sort of floating around, occasionally squirting water.
Great. That sounds so helpful.
I mean, the dolphin could be a powerful mage as well, so it could sit there casting very impressive spells about the place. So there is reason for that, but yeah,
I guess we'll follow the river again. We'll follow the river again.
And goodness knows what happens when your enemy just goes inland. It's like the Daleks a little bit. Sort of like as soon as they get to stairs, you can't deal with them. Same with other rye as well. Like you've got rye horses, which you can be, which sounds epic on paper, but once you want to go through a small door into someone's house, it's like, right, horse, you're staying outside. But I always stay outside the dungeon. That's because you don't fit in any dungeon. They're not built for horses.
Open a window, let me stick my head in so I can hear the conversation.
Yeah, but there are lots of rye which you can be. I'll read all the rye you can be in a minute, but I'll just read their entry first in the campaign book. So the most unusual people of Aldia, Raidan, are animals gifted with intelligence and arcane abilities. Indeed, their collective name is from two ancient Alden root words meaning thinking animal. Raidan awaken from otherwise ordinary beasts of the wild, gaining intelligence, awareness, and arcane talents. All the gifts of possessing a soul from the eternal dance. Some of them are quite fond of humans, others more wary, but in general, Raidan are cautious in their dealings with the two-legged peoples, including Varta, although the sea folk are close allies of Raifen. Raidan are close to nature and its cycles. Since they are relatively few in number and scattered across different species of animals, Raidan do not have the kind of civilizations or communities other people do. Some continue to dwell largely in the wilderness, while others come together in small groups or choose to dwell in the settlements of other people, particularly in Aldis. The nobility of the Raidan are the fierce griffins and the graceful and wise unicorns, which do not arise from the ranks of common animals, but breed true amongst their own. Reclusive, they are not suitable as characters. This is about griffins and unicorns now. Yeah, no, you can't be a unicorn. Sorry.
What?
Sorry.
That's so unfair.
I'd flip
I know.
the
I
table
was
right
building
now
you
if I
up for
could.
failure there. I was building you up for failure. Raidan awaken from a number of different animal species, but the most common of them known in Aldis and the surrounding lands include the following: Rai bears, Rai cats, Rai fen, which are the dolphins I told you about. Please no one pick a dolphin. Either that, or if we enjoy this, one day I will let you all be dolphins, and we'll just have a one-off campaign where we're all
We'll do a
dolphins.
one-off charity special, and we'll all be dolphins.
I'm
And
sorry,
one
that
pirate.
has to happen now.
Yeah, there's also Rai horses, Rai wolves, Rai ape, Rai badger, Rai boar, Rai crocodile, Rai dog, Rai hawk, Rai owl, Rai lizard, Rai raccoon, Rai raven, Rai snake, Rai weasel, and Rai wolf. I think I mentioned wolf twice, but that's still. Oh, and also, if you have the expansion book, Aldis, City of the Blue Rose, which I do, you can also be a Rai rat.
No rye wombat? I want
Wombat
cube
would be
poop.
so.
I'm sure I could actually work out something to make a rye wombat. There is also rye bread. Rye bread is also a thing. Aldous.
Yeah. I've now got like since you said raccoon. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we could have like a
Rocket.
raccoon character.
I'm wearing Rocket on my t-shirt.
Oh my gosh! I was thinking about I've got a Groot necklace, and I was so thinking about wearing it. Now I wish I had.
So those are the rye, and depending on what rye you play, seriously, compared to the other races which have their own sort of set of rules which add to your character, what rye you play really does change up who your character is. But even though they're arcane, you can have a rye creature who's a warrior, you can have a rye creature who's a rogue, you can have them as a mage. But one thing I will say is that they are animals at the end of the day. They don't have opposable thumbs, so they do have psychic potential to move things about. So despite the jokes I made about doors, they can sort of open doors and manipulate things the way humans can, but you do have just sort of the natural problems and advantages your animal would have.
Okay.
In the
So
wild.
if you're a hawk, you can fly, but there's only so much you can do with a beak and talons.
Yeah. So, but you can fly, and that's pretty awesome.
And there's quite a lot you can do with the beacon talent, to be fair.
Oh yeah, no. Honestly, hawk and owl, they do have good attack stats actually. And they have great speed. Just looking at their thing now, and they have night vision.
And when you say badger, are you talking honey badger or are you talking black and white striped English badger?
I think we're talking honey badger. I think we're talking a really big badger. Mushroom.
Thank you.
There's no rye mushroom. There is a rye snake though.
Snakes.
Oh.
So as long as we can get a rye mushroom going in, we'll have to import some slow mics from the pyramid.
Yeah.
We can have them all together. Interestingly, they do have. You can tell they actually really wanted people to play dolphins because they even have rules for echolocation.
Wow.
I've just realised and noticed in the rules for that, and I'm not going to even read what those are now because I'm getting dangerously off topic with these dolphins. So let's move on to the next type of race in Aldis, which couldn't be further away from dolphins, the sea folk.
What? Are we talking mermaids?
Oh, you're close. You're close. They're like mermaids, but they're not. Again, it's one of those kind of like the unicorn thing. You're going to be no, they're not sirens. Brian can breathe a sigh of relief. They're not. He's not in any danger. So this is what they say of sea folk. Sea folk are at home on both land and in the water, particularly salt water. Looking like androgynous, sleek-bodied humans, sea folk have a greenish or bluish tint to their skin, which tends to be tanned and varies in hue, particularly if they have human ancestry. Hair color is typically green, blue, golden blonde, or occasionally black or silver, while eye color is green, blue, grey, gold, or black. Sea folk can interbreed with humans, and their offspring are either human or sea folk. Humans with sea folk ancestry, which describes many islanders, sometimes have sea folk children as well, and although it is rare for sea folk with some measure of human ancestry to have a fully human child, it does happen. Choose to play a sea folk character if you want someone who is quick, perceptive, and completely at home in the water. Sea folk make excellent swashbucklers, spirit dancers, and water-shaping adepts. And they're not mermaids because they do have to come out of the water, but they can stay underwater for a ridiculously long time in the rules. And if you do choose to play a sea folk as well, they do have rules about dehydration, and you do have to consume about twice the amount of water as other races do to stay hydrated.
Okay.
And you have to bath regularly just to sort of keep that up. But you do have a lot you can do in water. Like, you are practically mermaids, just more like dolphins. We're back to dolphins again. Oh, we need to hydrate.
We need to hydrate.
I don't even have a
I got
drink.
thirsty. You were talking about that, and I was like, oh man, that's it.
I don't
Everyone
even have a
hydrate.
drink. I've been talking for ages and I didn't even prepare water. I am going to get water. I've been ordered to hydrate, so I will.
That's right.
I have to admit, I'm kind of really leaning to hawk, raven, or sea folk person.
Well, that's good. I'm glad people are having leanings already. Because, but the worst thing is if I got to the end of this and you were all like, nah, not really. I don't want to be a honey badger today. Right, so we've only got one more race to go, I think.
Oh, there's another one. Right, okay.
Yeah, we've got one more, which are the Vata. And the Vata are kind of, I keep going back to Lord of the Rings, even though Lord of the Rings is very far away from romantic fantasy. But do people remember the Númenóreans from Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
No.
Probably the only
Aragorn's
one
one.
that does.
Yeah. Aragorn is a Númenórean. He is kind of like, the Númenóreans were kind of like an Atlantean race who lived before humanity, and they age a lot better than humans do. They're generally...
Aragorn is also age as well because he's part elf, because Elrond's brother decided to go the human route rather than going Elrond's route and going elf, because Elrond is also half elf.
Yes.
And then that made the Númenóreans essentially even better. So they're kind of like the humans that have a lot of the benefits of elven nature, but very few of the drawbacks.
Yeah, but basically they were kind of a historical people who fell by the wayside in the grand scheme of things. And Vata kind of represent that. So a people touched by the arcane, Vata were more common in the days of the Old Kingdom, when their forebears, the Vatazin, still lived. Vata were originally the offspring of Vatazin and human parents, and they survived the Vatazin genocide by hiding among their human kin. Over the centuries, the Vata have become fewer, but traces of their lineage are found in all human lands, especially in Aldis. Unsuspecting humans sometimes have a Vata child. For most communities, this is considered a blessing, but in Jarzon and Kern, Vata children are problematic. The Jarzoni accept Vartan children, but purist priests often treat them harshly if they use their arcane gifts and are not preparing for the priesthood. Vata Shah are simply abused, if not immolated, for they are considered tainted by shadow. In Kern, Vatan are killed outright, while Vata Shah are taken to be raised in the service of the kingdom. Some Kernish parents manage to hide their Vata children, but rarely for long. Vata are sometimes smuggled out of Kern with the help of Alden envoys, but it is a dangerous and difficult undertaking. Choose to play a Vata if you want a hero with natural arcane potential, perhaps somewhat misunderstood. And just to clarify the difference between a Vata and a Vata Shah, Vartan are pure white skinned, and Vata Shah are literally pitch black in skin with red eyes. And like the Night People, they are Vata who were experimented on as a race by the Sorcerer Kings in the old times, and that's why people distrust the Vata Shah over the Vartans.
Okay.
So that is them, and that is all the character races and the places of the world described to you. So just from that, and I appreciate that was a lot to take in, we talked way more on dolphins than anyone should in an RPG campaign. So bracing myself for the answer, which I feel like everyone's going to say, which I don't want to hear. Does anyone have any sort of immediate sort of leanings towards a particular country or particular race, or any sort of things going, oh, you know what, I think I've got an idea for a character going? No worries if you don't, but just curious.
Given that I already said a few things to you and you made a few suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
and what you suggested, given that you knew someone else's potential character leanings,
Mm-hmm.
I would possibly go, was it Vartan and Jarzan?
Avata from Jarzan, yeah? Okay, so I'm thinking, I have the benefit of knowing a bit more about your character idea, which you had at first. So do you want to explain that to the others before I seem psychic?
Well, I wanted someone who is a magic user, but a bit happy-go-lucky with it, but equally, clearly, I want to say ditzy. So they've been assigned to someone else. Well, you suggested that they'd been assigned to someone else who was potentially like someone trying to put them straight and make sure they don't get themselves into trouble.
Yeah. So So I'm
Mhm.
start because
Hence
I'm
the
we're at the-
Jarzen, so that she'd be assigned to a priest or someone like that to try and keep her from doing
Oh, hi
things she
GSD
shouldn't.
Media.
Hi.
Hi John. I am. He's asking what I miss. So we are creating new characters for a new campaign set in the Blue Rose world, and yeah, at the moment we're just talking shop about characters we want to play.
Yep.
Andrew.
Ooh.
Andrew's thesis on the world of Aldia.
Sorry, it's tricky when I'm trying to lean across to another keyboard.
No, I like it. It actually sounds slightly more fantasy. Andrew.
Andrew. It's like a mispronunciation of a French thing. Andrew.
Or the
Yeah, so-
Scottish, maybe.
Sorry, Jess, you were going on. You were
Yes,
telling us your idea.
that was pretty much as far as I had. Some kind of ditzy magic user that gets
Mm.
herself into trouble because she doesn't always think through what she's going to do before she does it.
So, as a Varta character,
Mhm.
coming from Jarzon, that would mean that your arcane talents would probably have been very frowned upon and looked down by the priesthood, to the point of if you had actually tried to be a mage, they probably would have had you arrested if you weren't going into the priesthood. Do you see yourself then as someone who's fled Jarzon to more understanding Aldis in
It
this way,
would
or do
probably-
you?
I would probably decide that depending on what everyone else decides. Because
Mhm.
again, you suggested that I would potentially be assigned to someone else, that maybe implying I would be an acolyte to someone.
Well, I will say what I've got, even though I know that some of you have had ideas already, I wanted to kind of, this is one thing I wanted about this session, is to leave it very loose for everyone's ideas to change and move up based on things. So, and one of the things I've got, one of the great things about Blue Rose is they do have a lot of content for different missions, etc. So I haven't even decided yet which mission cycle we're going to go on. I'm going to base that on the characters you make for it to make the most
Okay.
sense. So if you're all from Resia with all your horses, I'm not going to set you on a story in Kern, for example. That just doesn't
Okay.
make sense. If you're all from Resia, then
Cool.
why bother going there? So that's that.
Come back to me
So
on the rest then.
yeah, does anyone else have any initial thoughts?
I also thought of Varder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of an older magic user who just more stoic's not quite the word for it, but sort of more reserved.
Mm-hmm.
There's a slight tinge of just sort of maybe a sad backstory. And so as you were describing these places, I was thinking of an older magic user who was born in Kern and
Mm-hmm.
smuggled out
Ooh, I like
as a
it.
Varder. So his parents would have been killed along the way. So he, had to, find himself in Aldous
Mm.
trying
That is
to
a really
make
nice
his way.
backstory, actually. I'm already excited by that because having someone with a link to Kern in that way, like Kern is one of those places that it can just be the place where the bad guys happen to come from, and having a character with roots there and sort of emotional ties to it in some way, that is interesting. So I like that idea a lot. I hope you go with that.
Yeah, no, that was my idea. So the birthplace would be Kern, but his current would be Aldous.
Okay, awesome. And we can get onto sort of fuller backstories later. This is only a sort of spit shot at the
Preliminary,
moment. So
yeah.
Anne-Marie, do you have any ideas yet?
Yeah, I want to fly.
Oh, you're going? Oh, we only just got started. You don't have to
I
fly
wanna-
yet.
I want to be a hawk or a raven.
Okay, yeah. Let me just see if I can find the rules again for those, just to see if I can help you.
A raven would probably be smaller and therefore easier to get in small spaces.
Ooh.
But a
Depends on the
hawk,
kind of hawk.
Yeah,
pretty
interesting.
badass.
The rules for Raven and Hawk, they have. So Raven, we're getting a bit rulesy here, but Ravens have a better dexterity
makes sense.
and they have the same perception, but they have less strength. That makes sense. They don't fly as well as a hawk. They don't fly as fast.
That makes sense too.
Their damage is the same.
Oh, interesting.
And they both have night vision, but ravens also can speak,
Oh.
which
Ah.
no
Ooh.
other animal has.
Oh.
All the other
Ravens can
animals
speak.
can
Quoth
only
the
talk
raven.
telepathically. Yeah, quoth the raven.
Awesome.
So
Raven
yeah,
then?
so
I quite like. I'm definitely leaning towards Raven. I think.
That's so
Okay.
Raven.
Yeah.
yeah, I was literally thinking that's so raven. I was thinking of a way to work it in. You just went with it. I love it.
Yeah. Showing our
Um,
age now, mate. Showing our age.
Mm,
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know where I'm from.
I mean, the advantage of playing a Rye character is that they pop up all over the map because
Yeah.
you literally an animal who suddenly one day just arcanely magically takes on
Oh, I see. Right. So I
intelligent
could
form.
be from everywhere, from anywhere.
You could be
rather.
from everywhere and anywhere, and you fly. You they don't know borders at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, hi me.
I'm quite liking the
That's 'cause
idea
the
of,
LB said it's me.
Hi, me. It's Dad.
maybe being from Kern as well, and just being like, I don't think this is a safe place for me to be.
Yeah, Kern would be a very bad place for you actually, because in Kern there is a long outstanding thing that any Rye should be killed immediately, and their hides are worth a lot.
Oh, dear.
So you
Right.
probably want as soon as you're probably just a raven one day, just picking over scraps on a Kernish market, and then
And
as
then
soon
one
as
day I actually, someone said, "Get away, you!" and I said, I'm just hungry." And then someone tried to kill me, and I was like, "Okay, bye."
Oh.
isn't
Is
there
there
a
a
hadron
Hadron?
collider in Kern? I feel like the Blue Rose is really bad for this because you have the city of Aldi, you have Kern now. No, nobody's done the Hadron Collider yet. We've had loads of Aldi jokes on off stream, but we haven't had Hadron Collider one. So that's a new.
Bear has said for the viewers, could you show which race is which based on the picture we have on screen? Maybe left to right or something.
Oh,
That
okay,
makes no
yeah.
sense
So
to me, but I'm hoping it does to you.
yeah, so for those who are watching on screen, on the far left, you have a sea folk who is a spirit dancer, which we'll get onto that later. That's a class. You've got a human who is a bard. You've got a Vata who is probably a mage or maybe a poet. They look kind of soulful and a bit sad in that picture, so who knows what's going on with them. But that's definitely a Vata there. You then have a Rye cat, a Rye wolf, and a night person. The night person is in the middle of the Rye cat and Rye wolf. So I hope that explains to people who is there. Hopefully, when we actually do the campaigns, I'll get more art to put up with things. So hopefully that'll work well. So anyway, a raven from Kern who probably had to very quickly learn to get out of there. But that is good. So that's. So I'm just making my own notes now here as well, so that I know what's going on for later. Anna. Hello.
Hi, sorry, I was just flashing a smile at you. I would actually quite like to be a sea folk person, not because it's the closest thing I can get to a mermaid. They genuinely sound quite interesting, and I do want to find out more about the classes and knowing what this spirit dancer business is. I presume it would probably make more sense for me to perhaps originated from, I can't pronounce it, the tropical place.
There's a number of places where you could have come from as a sea folk, which makes sense. So
okay.
I'll go into a bit more detail for you because I think the sea folk thing, it got that race of all of them has the least expanded on entry, and I think there's a lot more to say about them. So
I would
there
pick the
is
difficult one.
yeah, there is Lartia, but there's also the scatter star Arpeggio.
Oh.
Is it pronounced Arpeggio or Alpeggio? I never know how to pronounce it.
Archipelago?
Archipelago.
Well,
I thought
I'm
it was
American.
Archipelago.
Archipelago is what I've always been taught.
Archipelago. I'm going to go with Archipelago. Yeah, Chase Lounge. Chase Lounge and Archipelago.
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 Archipelago. Archipelago.
Dodecadoodad. We're just going to have new words for everything by the end of the night. Okay, so sea folk, the Scatterstar Archipelago, that is a set of islands off of the coast of Aldis, which is Archipelago. That's a good way of saying it. It's still not right, but I'll go with it.
I like
so
it.
yeah, the Archipelago is a sort of scattering of islands where you could have come from. There is also the coast of you saw the map before, didn't you, Anna? You're the only one who did. So
Yeah.
Aldia obviously has a coast where a lot of sea folk live. So there's a lot of places you can come from. You don't have to come from Lartia in order for that. You can, though. That's not to stop you by any.
Okay, I might have a little think about that. I mean, I might have to wait until perhaps we hear a bit more about the classes to sort of get a better idea. I mean, something, I hope it doesn't make me sound like really weird, but what I'm about to say. I mean, the whole thing when you were explaining about the Vata and the Vatashan and like the genocide thing that they've had to go through, and the fact that they're having to be the children having to be smuggled, there's a part of me that's felt quite, oh, that's actually like a really bad thing that you know that has to happen, but it's also quite important. So part of me is thinking maybe I could somehow, I don't quite know how, being as I need to be hydrated a lot of the time, but perhaps somehow being associated with that process was something I was quite drawn to. Then like, these children shouldn't be in danger, they need to be taken to a safe place. That's something that's attracting, but I don't quite
Okay,
know how
that's actually interesting. That's a calling, and we can get onto that in a minute, because that's actually the next bit I wanted to go on to. So that's a really nice segue.
Okay, happy
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to need more paper though. I gotta go grab myself more.
Yeah,
paper.
no, go and get more paper. Go and get more paper, and you guys will have to let me know when you want breaks on this, because I will just natter away until people.
We could take a break quickly.
Yeah, we could take a break now. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. Well, allow me to get the next bit together. So quick break.
Yep. We'll do an interval.
All right.
Okay,
Interval.
Yeah.
Time for an interval. Can I be a sentient chicken?
No, I don't think chicken was an option.
I think I could. I think I can make rules for. I was prepared for this question, to be honest. Like from the very start, as soon as I knew that sentient animals were a thing, I was like, how long is it going to be until Mokan, especially as I know that he's lurking in the background of this stream, asks for a sentient chicken and asks to join in?
Bear asks for a sentient chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the last stream, you and me as Florian and Dario were riding on the back of a chicken, a giant chicken.
Riding a chicken.
We were riding a giant chicken. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good stream. That was Monday.
Cuddling on the back.
Cuddling. Yes, and we sung it a lullaby. Put the giant chicken to
That's
sleep.
right. While I was gone.
Yes. Technically it was Kayla pretending, or Wolf Song pretending to be you, but
Wolf Song is awesome.
yes.
Could I be a ride there with a fried chicken riding on
it? Yeah. GSD Media, what the hell was going on Monday? Bear's character Mokan has a chicken that he believes is his god, and I was DMing a quick one shot, and we used a one shot by a guy called DM Dave that was all about a chicken that got made giant with a potion, and for 4 hours in game time the players have to essentially babysit this giant chicken and stop it from eating anyone or getting hurt itself. So I modified that, and we made Mokan's chicken giant by accident, and then the team had to keep Mokan's chicken safe because of course Mokan thinks that it's his god. So we basically had this episode where they were running around after a chicken, and then Kutsara, which is Kate's character, suggested that we try and ride the chicken to stop the chicken running off, and Florian very quickly volunteered. And then Tariel ended up there too. At one point, the wizard casted levitate on her. It was absolutely hilarious. The entire stream was very interrupted by laughter. But yeah, that was Monday. Yeah, anyone got anything they want to talk about while we're waiting for Anna and Anne-Marie to come back? Don't see it all.
Right now, currently out is As You Like It,
Yes.
available on places online with the group called Stolen Shakespeare Guild. Wolfsong and I are both voice actors in this particular audio drama version of Shakespeare's classic As You Like It.
Cool.
And I know that on one of the Discords, you guys were talking about
Watch
calling it a
party.
watch party,
The listen party. But yeah.
listen party.
Yeah.
So hop on the Discord,
Yeah.
and that's Jess's Discord, not the
that is
Gilded
my
Mimic.
Discord. I should probably put a link for that.
Yeah,
On
put a
my
link up on
Discord,
that.
we're going to have a listen party, possibly this Sunday, if not the Sunday after, with a...
Yeah, Bear didn't know I was going to be throwing things out there, keeping you on your toes, buddy.
That's my Discord.
Yay! Discord!
Where
Huzzah,
people can
Discord!
come. I have a watch party channel and a bunch of other channels. You can also play other games with me. Hey, another unique. Yay. Awesome.
Oh, I see something. I
What?
see something. Is that...
Yay!
Yes! Our prize
Huzzah,
winner!
Smack it.
Product
Our
placement.
first-
Yep.
Our first giveaway that we ever did. And the LBs were the awesome winners.
Yes, that was awesome. Florian's wish in the carnival. which was
Carnival of
awesome.
Crazy,
Yep.
which
That was
was
a very crazy
fantastic and fun and fantastically GM'd by Andrew there.
Don't get yummies right now.
Oh,
Oh, it's
hello.
Muffloof.
Oh, hello, Flippy. So
We
we'll
have
have to
another
come
Vai
up.
character.
Yes. We'll have to create another giveaway soon
Yes.
and figure out what we give away this time, because we've given away a mug. Maybe next time it will be
Stickers.
stickers. Yes.
I can't give you
Maybe
that.
we'll even do a tiered one, like, second place will be
Yeah.
stickers.
Yeah,
First place, I'll buy a T-shirt for someone.
Yeah. We'll see.
Nice.
That's for me.
Another unique has also done hydrate, and
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
We are hydrating.
Hi,
that's also
Dre.
the link for As You Like It. And hello everyone that just hopped onto my Discord, because there's quite
Hello.
a few of you.
We have hydrated.
Oh, floof.
One of us. One of us.
Yeah, drank it all as well. You want some more? Okay, okay. There is water in your bowl. It's nice cold water, though, of course.
No.
Okay, okay.
It's not easy having fur in this heat. Bless.
Mm-mm.
Good boy. Good drink. Good boy. I honestly didn't think he was going to go for this. You want a drink? You done? No more drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, now he licks my hand. Right.
Maybe
Are we
he's
done?
hoping to persuade you to be a rye dog rather than a rye raven.
No, what
maybe.
he's hoping to persuade me is to give him.
The M&Ms. Oh, no, no,
No.
no.
Yeah.
No floofy. No floofy.
Oh,
Baby. Sorry, snuggle puppy. Now Mummy has to dry her hand because it's got water and dog slobber on it.
Delightful.
Lovely.
Oh, it's just lovely. I'll be
Okay,
right
just-
So is that a hazard in this game, getting rye slobber on
Well,
characters?
in this case, it would
like,
be rye poop, because
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be raven
well,
poop.
Vai are intelligent, so they can hold it in and they will go to the Vai bathroom. Like in civilized society, they won't just poop on the street.
Okay.
A Vai horse will go to the little horse room.
I just question
see.
birds, because I already think that they are intelligent and very specific, because
They
they
are.
know to poop on my car when I've washed it.
Yeah.
Not the neighbor's car, not the one right under the tree, my car. because it's washed. So
It's a raven.
I think it's already, they are sentient. The birds are already sentient. They just aren't telling us, and they're
Are there
targeting.
rules about me pooping on things?
Yeah, we were just talking about whether you'd poop on things.
This isn't for you. This is for me. It's got chocolate
See?
on it.
Claire Cat has pointed out they are intelligent, therefore they can aim.
Yeah.
Right, but I was just wondering if there were already rules, or if
Oh, what if the world we're in has rules about where you can poop?
Well, No, I meant in terms like damage
Oh, okay.
Oh, damage done to property and stuff.
Or people.
and people and their
Yeah,
eyes.
Yeah. If you're a Rye and you commit a crime in Aldis, you're treated the same as any other sentient living being. So if you commit murder, then you are tried for murder, and you are.
She's asking if she can do damage to monsters by pooping.
Can she poop
on them.
attack?
Can she poop attack?
Chimpanzee fling poo.
No, it wouldn't do actual damage. It might infuriate a few people, but it wouldn't actually
Call the character who flung poo.
I think I can make it do damage.
I mean, if you were a arcane spell casting one, like if you go for a wizard class, you could probably poo and then cast a spell on your poo as it is descending to make it do damage. But your poo itself is just raven poo. Your poo is not sentient either. I don't know.
Challenge accepted.
GSD Media has just said, wouldn't poop flipping potentially cause disease? There is that good point. You could potentially make someone very sick.
In that kind of way, then yes, your poo does damage, but in the middle of a fight, I wouldn't rely on that long end game for the damage there. It's like, don't worry, I pooed on him, he'll die in 2 weeks of dysentery. We now need to sit and wait.
Wait till they're yelling and aim for the mouth. So gross.
That's not what I had in mind.
This discussion seems important. This discussion is very important.
So while it's flying out of the air, so the Rye bird
The poo of a raven.
poos, the raven poos, and then on my turn as a magic user, turn into a fireball, and then we have a flaming poo. Where are we at?
I mean, that also has a lot of rules to it in the arcane. Like, I think you would probably
Get
depending-
arrested.
depending on where you're doing this, you'd probably be arrested. But in terms
How
of an actual-
about if you poop in someone's mouth and then set it on fire?
No, because at that point, the thing is, most fire-shaping spells are just casting fire itself. So, like, you'd probably end up having a thing where you would probably, within the realms of the magic that we have in this format, you'd probably do a poo, cast a firebolt behind it, and it's basically a kind of insult injury. To add insult, you're just doing to add insult to injury, but in reverse.
Poop on him.
Those burns are going to get infected.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it in reverse, if you cast a firebolt first and then poo, then you're adding insult to injury and potentially adding disease onto it. We are not going further into this now, though. More character creation to do, other than deciding where and when we take our poops.
Well, I mean, the thing that's going through my head is the poop is on fire.
I think we just found our theme song for.
Yeah. You can tell we're taking this so seriously. I'd say sorry, but I'm not particularly
This is
sorry,
very
Andrew.
serious.
The
These
thing
are
is,
very
we
specific
have
discussions.
never been the most serious of streams, and Blue Rose as well. Even though it does have a lot of the interpersonal thing, like if you do that in a public place in the middle of a village, you'll be arrested for it. I will just lay down the law on you. But if it's in the middle of combat with a bunch of people who deserve it, then go nuts.
I wasn't going to poop on
Yay.
undeserving people. What kind of raven do you think I am?
I don't know. You're just going to be in a lot of civilized places, so just be aware of also missed aim as well, because I don't know how well ravens can aim their poo, because you can't exactly. Can you look where you're?
There's
you
a geometry
You poo
here.
when you're exactly overhead because
Well, no, because you
Gravity
got to
takes
take into
over.
account. But you got to account
Gravity,
into
wind speed,
height,
forward
speed, wind speed.
motion.
Oh,
velocity
gosh.
forward, arc,
Yeah.
loss of velocity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things in it. Would be a ranged attack, and depending on how high you are and how fast you're going and all that's going on below.
I plan to practice.
We're gonna set up targets.
I look forward to acting this
They
out.
said there wouldn't be maths.
We'll need a
Yeah, we
shooting
did say there wouldn't be
range.
maths. So what did you just say?
We'll need a shooting range in the game.
Oh,
But
I-
a shooting range.
I thought you said
Yes.
you were
Shooting.
shit for brains, and I was like, is that a joke about role?
I guess more specifically, it would be
A
a shitting
shitting
range
range.
It should
instead of
be
a shooting range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
A
digress.
shooting range.
A shooting range,
Right.
yeah.
I think I'm going to bring things back a little now, away from
People
bodily
matter.
functions and away to more mental ones. So the next bit of character creation I wanted to do with... Are we all good to carry on now? Sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do is a part of character creation which isn't to do with a class. It's again to
Sorry.
do with just...
GSD Media's just said, well, this channel has turned to crap.
We did that long ago. Bring out the toilet roll kick. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I shouldn't be reading chat. So, one of the things we have... Stop laughing. Every time you laugh, I think something's going on in chat. So I'm just like, what's going on? Of course it would be John. Right. Carrying on. So, in Blue Rose, there's also a thing called calling Destiny and Fate, which help build your character and make them sort of more interesting to play from a roleplay perspective. And you don't... There's several ways you can go around this, but it's essentially what is your character's mission in life? Like, what is it they want to do? And then their destiny is like their best quality, and their fate is supposed to be their worst quality. And by role playing out both your best and your worst quality, you get inspiration like you do in D&D, although it goes by another name in this. It goes towards your, what do they call it in this one? It's not inspiration, it is conviction. Yeah, you get conviction by acting in accordance to your fate and your destiny. But the interesting thing is, if you act according to your negative characteristics, you also get conviction there. So it's
Okay.
good to play both your good and bad
Do we
side.
still get aspiration?
Yeah,
Sass
you can still get
conviction?
you can still get saspiration as well. But
Conviction.
conviction, when we get to the rules of Blue Rose, conviction has a lot more that you can do with it than just adding to your die rolls. So, but we'll get onto that later.
It just means there's so shit on people and you get convicted. That's what I'm hearing.
You know what? That's what I was trying to say from the start. John has summed up my feelings about pooing on people, or at least pooing on them while setting the poo on fire. I think that's the thing which gets you arrested.
Only if
convicted.
it's someone who doesn't deserve it. I was thinking of in a combat mode.
We're not going through this again. I'll go through this. We'll never get to the end of the night because I keep wanting to. Oh, this poo is on fire.
Yes, that was the other way I was thinking of.
Look, she's just trying to show you that she gives a shit.
I'm taking this very seriously.
We are very, yes, completely.
I mean, to be honest, you've got to be brave, Andrew, I think, taking this all on in the same stream.
Yeah, no. It is.
I have
It's
given
great.
you the
I'm
three
honestly
most
having a
mischievous players
Glass
plus a
of
guest.
this, but I don't know I am. Just trying to keep on top of it all. So anyway,
Goodness
so
gracious, great poops of fire.
John.
I will throw out there, I only have 30 minutes left before I have to go to a film shoot.
Right. Okay.
We need
so
to move on really quickly.
we'll get through this really quick now. So for callings, then, callings are what your character was placed in the world to do, what they feel they want in life. So I'm going to read the callings out, and if you haven't got an idea for what your character is, maybe you can roll for it and see if you just want to sort of randomize your character, and that way you can roll for it. Otherwise, just pick the one which appeals most to you and then tell me what it is and I'll write it down. So the different callings you can have according to this, are adventure and excitement, mastery of the arcane, oneness with spirit, protection of nature, temporal power, spiritual or religious power, true love, mastery of the martial arts, physical perfection, transmission of knowledge, wealth, justice, inner peace, creating change, mediation of extremes, trickery or uncovering the same, lowering the lofty, artistic mastery, discovering and learning secrets, championing the everyday folk, atonement, exploration and discovery.
I quite like the idea of true love and
True
trying
love?
to seduce people as a raven.
That is totally fine. Believe it or not, in the Aldous rulebooks, there are several characters who are in relationships with Rye, not physical intimacy ones, or at least not detailed in any way, but but the mental connection. You could have a Rye creature marry a human, for example, in Aldous. Probably not in Jarzon, but in Aldous they would allow that. Because it is, at the end of the day, two spirits coming together more than anything. How that goes beyond that, I'm not even going to go into, but you can have true love for your raven. True love and poop.
Another unique has said pooing on them is fine. You're basically saying you're the shit. Flaming poo is not good because you're then saying you're hot shit, and that could be construed as catcalling.
They have a point.
I'd like to point out it wasn't my fault this time.
No, it really wasn't.
Oh dear.
Did anyone else have thoughts on that, or want me to read the list again on callings, or have a calling which they can think of every character, something they would want to do, which I could just put into one of those?
I definitely was hearing a couple of them that would play in with my older magic user idea, either transmission of knowledge or mediating extremes.
Yeah, which appeals to you more, just on the thing for calling?
I don't know. Like, I guess it just kind of depends on the other pieces, like when we get to classes and things like that. Like,
okay, I'll write you down for both for now. So transmission of knowledge, or what was the other one?
Mediating the extremes.
Extremes.
Yeah, mediating extremes.
Like trying to keep everything in balance.
Yeah, that sounds very you from what you've told me of your character so far. Right, that leaves Jess and Anna. Any initial thoughts there from any of those callings?
Not really.
No, I think it's probably too early for me, because I mean, obviously, like I said about the one thing about the trying to help the little ones that have been
Justice was one of the callings.
The justice.
Yeah. Is that like the closest that would work?
Yeah, so helping little ones escape Jarzon, not Jarzon, Kern, and all that's going on there. So that could be from the ones you've got there. Adventure and excitement could come under that if you're in it for the adventure side of it. Transmission, justice would be it. Creating change.
Yeah.
Would be it. Lowering the lofty, championing the everyday. Like championing everyday folk, you know, a child can't champion themselves, so that would count under it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say you've got ones there. So I'll just put you down as possibles for any of those for now.
Alrighty.
Okay. And any thoughts from you, Jess, as to what your character's calling is, or what they feel like their purpose in life is?
Well, I was going to go with true love and the seducing everyone as well, but I think if we have two characters trying to seduce absolutely everybody, that could potentially get quite chaotic.
No, they'll fall in love with each other. It'll be over.
Yeah.
I would say
I'm
go
fine
for
with
it.
it. The thing is, you're not going to having two characters whose quest is for true love. You know, not everyone in Aldous is going to be interested in true love with a raven. I mean, quite a few of them maybe, but not all.
Okay.
And not everyone is going to be interested in falling in love with you either. So
okay.
Ouch, harsh reality.
How quick do you think seductions take?
So yeah, you can both have true love for that. That's fine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've got a few options for Anna and Brian there. So let's quickly move on. So going to classes now, and the rest of it can be. Well, I said before that the Blue Rose and the age system in general is supposed to be easier for people and less rules heavy. So unlike D&D with loads of classes, you just have 3 classes in this one. You have Warrior, you have Wizard, although it goes by a different name in this, and you have Rogue, which goes by Expert. And that's it. Those are the only 3 classes you have. But what I will say is, as you go up in the levels, you then sort of segue off into career paths for your class, kind of like in Dragon Age. You do the same. There's only 3 classes in Dragon Age: Warrior, Wizard, Rogue, and then you go off into sort of subclasses from there. So you only need to start off by thinking, do I want to be a fighter? Do I want to be an arcane user? Or Rogue is a bit too narrow, I think, for what an expert is. Experts in the Blue Rose can be everything from sort of the traditional rogue sneak thief to diplomats to agents. Generally, anyone who's sort of bards would fall under that category as well. So quite a few get caught under the expert route, but those are the 3 main classes.
I think I'm going to go for expert.
Okay.
Yeah. I also have no idea what my Raven can do in terms of arcane stuff. So
they're very talented in the arcane. They're Rai, so they have natural arcane talents. As a Rai, you'll come into the world with sort of psychic communication as one, so that you can actually talk to people. You will have other arcane talents, but you can be a Raven who is an expert. Like, they would make good rogues, field agents, spies.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so that works really well as a thing. And I like that as well, because I think one of the things I've often seen from people who've played Rai is that the tendency is to go straight to playing just a mage user and a magic user. So having something different for that, I'm actually quite excited about that. That sounds interesting.
And I'm thinking if Jess goes for something else, then we'll have 2 different, even though we're both doing true love stuff.
Ah, you're meta modding. You're meta modding the party.
Sorry, well, I didn't. That's not, obviously.
No. It's a good thought. It's a good thought. It wasn't meant as a complaint. Anyone else have a particular one they're leaning to?
Well, when you were reading the information about the sea folk earlier, you mentioned something they might do is like a spirit dancer. What is that?
Spirit dancer has nothing to do with being a sea folk. Anyone can become a spirit dancer. Spirit dancer, if you're interested in it, I'll give more information on that later if we have time. But basically, that's one of those professions which you go into later on as you level up. And spirit dancers, I think, are actually a mage class. I think.
Since there's 4 of us, we're going to repeat on something. So
oh yeah, you're going to repeat on some things, definitely, because you get several spirit dance. Oh, any class can be a spirit dancer, but you must have dexterity 2 or higher. The acrobatics, there's something. And the body control arcana. That's why I thought they were mage users, because they have to have the body control arcana. But that's something for another day.
Okay.
But for now, if you want to be a spirit dancer down the line or interested in spirit dancers, then anything can go into it. And that's one of the things with the different subclasses and sort of jobs you can get into, is that some of them are cross class as well. So both warriors and experts can be sharpshooters, for example. Both mages and... This is a good example. Yeah, swashbucklers can be both experts or warriors. Spies can be any. So there's a whole lot of range you can be. You can be a wizard who's a spy. You can be a... Why can't I find any? You can be a noble as a profession, if you're lucky enough to be a noble. Some are only to do with certain things, but there is a lot of crossover, so don't worry about sort of jobs that you're going into just yet. Just think about what general class you want to be.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking magic user.
Okay.
Is it going to be a problem if we have lots of magic users and no warrior?
It's not necessarily going adept. Adept is what they're called for this one.
Adepts.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily be a problem because, as said, as you get into your jobs come in at level 4. So, depending on how long we play this, it might not be a thing.
Okay.
I would say not having a warrior could be a little bad for damage, but you can spec your adepts in this to be. This is again one of the things I quite like about this. Depending on the magic you take, if you took sort of arcane shield, arcane weapon, you could have a adept who's actually quite tanky and fighty in its own way.
Okay.
But you'd probably still be better off having a warrior in the party just because your magic can run out and you can be in a situation where you're flat-footed or don't have the spells.
Yeah, because I think, so like if I'm thinking about the thing that my character wants to do, if it's sort of like trying to do things without attracting attention, that seems to lend itself more to an expert. But at the same time, if you're
you can be a warrior who's a spy. Like as the jobs open up later on at level 4, they are open to different classes. So spy, anyone can be a spy. It just so happens that if you're a warrior who's a spy, you're probably better at fighting those who find you. Whereas if you're an expert, you're probably better at running away. Or if you're an adept, you're better at just sort of disguising yourself. Like there's other ways of doing it. So I'll just read you some of the talents that there are, just to give you an idea of the other jobs later down the line. So there's animal training, which any class can be. There's animism, which is sort of psychic arcana. That's for wizards. There's arcane potential, arcane training, armor training, archery, artificer, carousing, command, contacts, which is any, and that's just sort of having people, horsemanship, healing, intrigue, linguistics, medicine, meditating, law. There's some of them don't even sound like jobs necessarily, but I don't know. No, here's the specializations. Yes, you've got assassin, bard, beast friend, berserker, champion, hunter, guardian, duelist. There's a lot you can go into, and it doesn't, like, a diplomat can be any class. You can be a warrior and a diplomat.
Okay.
Just because you're strong and have a sword, that could help you with your diplomating.
Yeah.
Just your different style of how you
Conduct
negotiate.
negotiations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't want you to feel though like we're forcing you down the warrior route just because we don't have a warrior in the party though. So if you want to be a adept or an expert, then I would go with what you want to be, and
We'll make the group work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I'm just sort of like, it's trying to, so I think about thinking about what your character wants to do, isn't it? So I'm thinking perhaps they might more naturally lean towards an expert, just thinking, if they've got to move a lot of people or move people without being seen or hide to avoid discovery, that seems to be a bit more of an expert skill set than necessarily a warrior skill set. But I might just have to
I mean, I can think of other ways that you could interpret it as well. Like the road back, if you're smuggling people out, you probably want warriors who can, if you do get caught by a Kurnish militia, you're not going to want only rogues doing the smuggling.
That's true.
Okay. You're going to want some warrior backup at some point there.
Yeah, like Kern is way too dangerous for just sending individuals in like that. And again, but again, I really am not trying to just force you that way. So if you feel like expert is more what you want to go into originally for just a
well, I mean, well, you know that I'm already planning on sending you a mini thesis once I kind of figure it out.
Yeah. Once you figured out your character, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I think that is pretty much all we need to do on character creation in terms of characters.
Mhm.
Okay.
We could go. I'm conscious of the time for Brian
Yeah.
here. I was going to spend a little bit of time going over just how the rules work in general and maybe getting you to roll your stats. I feel like rolling our stats, if
It's probably
we're
quite
short on
boring
time,
for the
maybe just
stream.
rolling our stat die
Mhm.
might be an idea just to finish up.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so we have that. So if you've all got your dice ready or your thing, what I need you to do is roll for your stats, and you can move them around in different ways, and I'll give you your thing that you get from it. Let me just find the page for it.
So that's 3d6, yeah?
Yeah, 3d6.
And how many times do we roll?
I'm just trying to find that page now because it has gone missing again because it's fallen out.
And what's the significance of one of them meant to be a different colour, mate?
That is only for the main game, which I don't think we're going to get time to cover now today with
Okay.
things. But
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's fine. We can do that on the go once we're playing, and it might even be easier with that. But I'm just trying to find.
Yeah, I can
Page.
guarantee I will not remember any of the actual playing stuff. I think
Yeah,
I'm quite famous
so-
for it by now.
You need 9 stats in total, which are accuracy, communication, constitution, dexterity, fighting, intelligence, perception, strength, and willpower. Like
Okay.
with D&D, I would suggest just roll the 9 for now and record what you get and assign them for things. But unlike D&D, because of the way that I found age works and the sort of danger level of enemies, I'm just going to say roll 3d6. Not, I know in D&D it's often roll 4 and take the 3 highest. Just roll a straight 3 and get the
Okay.
number you're given
Okay.
for each one. So if you want to start doing that, and then let me know what your scores are, and I'll start recording.
Do you want us to mute so there's not a constant clatter?
I'll tell you what, maybe just go one at a time. So maybe just start with Jess. Roll your dice up just
Okay.
quickly. Tell me what you get, and I'll.
I got 9
9,
and then 11,
11,
13,
13,
11 again,
11.
14. I'm doing quite well so far.
Yeah.
Oh, really bad one. 6.
Oh, it's 3d6 we're rolling, John. 2, 3, 4, 5,
And another 6.
6. Oh, here we go.
Ooh, nice.
That's nice. Makes up for.
And another 11. I think that's all of them.
Okay, that should be 9 die total. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, that's 9.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. That's good. That's an interesting one. I always like seeing characters which have lower rolls on a couple of things. I always think it makes for more interesting characters. Maybe that's just me, though. Don't know. Brian, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Oh, he's really going for the
Here
roll
comes
here.
the panache.
Oh, please. Yes. That's a 17.
No way.
Nice.
I'm straight away, for some reason, with it being Brian, I almost want to ask to see the dice. Unlike Jess, I'm
They're
going like, yeah, that's a 17. I trust you. I trust you.
No, you don't.
Next.
10.
Okay.
10.
Okay.
10.
Are you actually rolling? You do actually need
Yes.
to pick up the dice. Okay.
7.
7.
7. Oh, I need 11, so it could be 7, 11. 12. I didn't get one. That's 12. How many is that?
You're at 6 so far.
Ha! 3 more. Huzzah, rolleth. 9. 13.
One more.
Look, that's a 15. Look, I'll even like.
There we go. Yeah, that's pretty good. You've got some.
Oh
got
shit!
no-
That's my power. That's my headphones. Ah! I can't do
No,
this.
careful, careful.
Oh no. And
Yeah,
Marie,
I
would
was
you
trying
like
to
Oh, sorry.
show the dice for you, and
No, I believe you. You've got some nice stats here as well. You've got two
Yeah.
things which you're very good at, and you're pretty sort of down the middle otherwise. So that will be interesting. I think I'll play into your sort of wizened older character who's already gone his way in life and gone down certain paths. So I kind of like that. And
I've
Marie.
rolled mine. Yeah,
Oh,
I rolled
okay.
mine on
Yep.
on roll 20. So 14,
14,
8,
8,
8,
8,
12,
12,
15,
15,
7,
7.
9,
Oh, hold on. Yep.
11,
Yep.
10.
10. Okay. Some good scores there. I feel like we're slightly below averages on what we should be rolling here.
Well, that is what will happen if you get us to only roll 3.
No, I'm not worried about it at all. Like, it's fine within the system. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just literally saying that as averages go, I think you're rolling. I think the average that you would roll on 3d6 generally is a 12. So,
well, statistically on 3d6, 9, 10, and 11 are the most prevalent rolls
oh, 9, yeah, actually, it would. Okay, yeah, we are
because
above
it's
average,
3.5 times 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm not worried about this at all. It's not a bad thing in any way. In fact, do any of you even have negative?
I've got 2 6s.
Yeah, even that's not a negative on you
Okay.
with the system. That's why I wanted to use the 3d6 system rather than the 4. You only get negatives for 5, 4, and 3, and for 5, 4, and 3, you only get for 5 and 4, you only get -1
Okay.
on your thing. So if I had pushed it the other way, like you start getting 2+, you start getting 1s at 9 and 0s for 6 and 9. So it just felt like if I had gone with the 4d6, I feel like the age system makes for quite an overpowering
Okay.
generally. Anyway, Anna, would you like to finish us off with the dice rolling?
Yes, just watch me roll all these negatives now. Okay, ooh, that's 11. Oh, there we go. First negative, it's a 4.
Oh, wow, here we go.
There we go, come on. 12.
Okay.
9. Sorry, checking my maths. Another 9. Oh, dude, are you serious? I got another 4. Are you serious?
Yeah, you are not having the best of times here. You are.
Okay. That's an 11. I don't know where I'm at with my rolls now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 so far.
Barra said, can we give you inspiration to re-roll the 4s?
Thanks, Bear. Hang on, I'm going to have to roll that because it fell off the thing. Oh, I got the same thing. That's 12.
Okay.
And then 8. And are you going to pick up on Bear's request?
2, 3,
For
4.
me to re-roll my 4s?
Yeah, that was
There's
no
harsh.
good
Like,
ones.
Hush.
even with all the others, like everyone else so far is at least one. Like Jess, you're very just average across the board. Pretty
I've
much.
got 116.
Yeah, you got 116.
Poseworth
Ryan
has
has
redeemed
2.
inspiration
There's a
for a
15.
re-roll.
Yeah,
I have nothing spectacular to speak of.
I want you to re-roll one of your 4s.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking really re-roll one of them, and that sounds fair, really.
Yeah.
Ooh. I got a 16. Thank you very much.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Hey!
Thank you, Bear. Thank
Result.
you.
You all have at least one talent. And that's good. And, only one of you has a minus anything to any of your stats. So there's a -1 for one stat that Anna's going to have. Everyone else, you have zeros up to 8. So everyone has +1s on anything that's 9 or above.
Okay.
So I think there's not really that much.
I've got 3 zeros.
Yeah, I've got, I think, 2 zeros.
Well, those are just the things you're not going to be good at then. Just put those into the stats that you aren't going to use. At the end of the day, I think this is one of the things that I always try and just embody as a DM. And again, one of the things I just kind of like about Blue Rose is that you are supposed to have strengths and weaknesses within this. And as it's sort of a more cooperative campaign with the NPCs and you're supposed to be getting the help of others, you're not really supposed to feel like the big heroes all the time.
Okay.
Like sometimes it is a thing of, oh, you've come to this village seeking to help them with this problem. You better get the other villagers to all chip in with you.
Cool.
All
Awesome.
right.
We should probably stop
I have
there.
to. Yeah, I
Brian
have
needs
to go.
Yeah. Okay, we can call it there, and I'll what I'll do with those stats now is I'll use them to help you all make character sheets over the next fortnight, and
we'll
then
play
when we
in 2 weeks'
return,
time.
we should be able to just sort of start playing, and we'll just explore the rules as we go for what we need to do. But I'll try and send something to you all to help with that.
Awesome. All right,
Fantastic.
We'll be back with Blue Rays in 2 weeks then. I hope everyone found that as interesting as we did. And hopefully we'll have our characters fully fleshed out and names for our characters.
Oh, yeah.
We need to name our characters. But yeah, and thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Anna, for joining us and guesting for us. And I think we're back as the Story Squires on Monday.
Yeah.
Stream. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching and commenting and for joining in, especially with the whole poo conversation. Yeah, cool. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.